London, September 2025. In the heart of the British capital, a gathering of senior officials marks a turning point in Anglo-American relations. Less than 24 hours after US President Donald Trump and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer signed one of the largest bilateral technology agreements in history, key figures from both governments stepped forward to explain what it really means. Their message is clear. This is not just a deal, it is a redefinition of the special relationship. The room is filled with anticipation as Michael Kratsios, the director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, takes the stage alongside Britain's Secretary of State for Business and Trade, Peter Keir, and the Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology, Liz Kendall. Together, they personify the ambition behind a £150 billion commitment, more than $200 billion US, in new investments flowing from American corporate giants into Britain's economy. Microsoft, Google, Blackstone and others are pledging vast sums to build infrastructure, supercomputers and data centres while promising to create thousands of jobs. Michael Kratsios delivers the first intervention, framing the partnership in terms of both economics and security. With conviction, he says, "I deeply, deeply believe that these technologies are going to be driving the economic and national security of the United States for many years to come. And it's something that we are beyond thrilled to be working with our closest partners and allies. This is a true manifestation of the special relationship that we have." His words underline Washington's perspective that artificial intelligence, quantum computing and nuclear energy are no longer mere sectors of innovation, but pillars of national power. And by binding Britain into this technological future, America cements its closest ally firmly within its orbit. Britain's Peter Keir builds on that foundation. He paints a picture of untapped commercial opportunity, declaring, "To explore all of the potential that our two countries coming together could have, and then narrowing down to a set of negotiations that delivers a deal that opens the door to £250 billion worth of commercial activity between our two nations, all focused in areas of technology, in areas of AI, in areas of future fast, high-growth economic opportunity for both of our nations." The scale is immense, $250 billion in potential activity. The language is ambitious and deliberately so. Britain is positioning itself not as a junior partner clinging to Washington, but as an equal co-architect of a new digital economy. But Keir does not stop there. He turns to the social promise of this agreement, seeking to reassure communities far removed from the gleaming glass towers of London or the innovation hubs of California. With pointed emotion, he says, "We are two administrations that care very, very much about those communities that have been left behind by past waves of industrial change and for too long simply haven't had not just investment, but the kind of investment that is empowering and gives long-term sustainable security, economic security to communities that have had none for a long time." His words echo like a pledge to the forgotten towns of Britain's North and America's Rust Belt. It is a reminder that this deal is not only about supercomputers, it is about political credibility. Leaders on both sides of the Atlantic cannot afford for promises of transformation to be seen as remote, elitist projects. They must be grounded in jobs, in training, and in real economic revival. Liz Kendall takes the conversation in a slightly different direction, sharpening the focus on what truly matters. She says, "I think the greatest challenge and greatest prize is to show how all of this innovation, how all of this investment, these jobs, these new discoveries are going to work for the people and places that most need them." Her statement cuts to the core of public skepticism. Citizens have seen deals announced before. They have heard the rhetoric of renewal. What matters now is proof. If artificial intelligence and quantum computing cannot be linked to better schools, better wages, and better opportunities, then the partnership risks being dismissed as yet another elite arrangement. But Kendall also widens the lens to the geopolitical. She stresses urgency, saying, "I think one of the reasons that this partnership is so important is we are in a race for the future, and we want it for all of our differences between our two nations. Those underlying values are really important, and collaborating in those areas to make sure we win the race. This is not merely rhetoric. The race is real. China has poured billions into AI, quantum encryption, and biotechnology. The European Union, too, is seeking strategic autonomy in high technology. The United States and Britain are sending a blunt message. Together, they intend to lead. For the audience in London and for viewers around the world, the panel discussion becomes more than an academic exercise. It is the unveiling of a 21st century alliance, one where military bases and trade routes are replaced by cloud infrastructure, high-speed networks, and nuclear innovation. The officials on stage are acutely aware that they are not just administrators of policy, but spokespeople for a vision of global power. Beyond the panel, the implications ripple outward. The European Union has been conspicuously excluded from this deal, despite its aspirations to act as a third technological superpower. Observers in Brussels fear that Britain's alignment with Washington will further isolate the continent, undermining its own projects on AI governance and digital markets. In Beijing, the announcement is studied with concern. Chinese analysts have long warned of what they call an Anglo-American technological bloc, one that could coordinate export controls, pool research, and exclude rivals from critical supply chains. In Moscow, the reaction is more cynical. Russian officials portray the deal as proof of Western dependency on each other's markets, even as their own technological isolation deepens under sanctions. Domestically, the deal has sparked a fierce debate. Supporters hail it as a once-in-a-generation chance to supercharge the British economy, promising up to 7,600 jobs from the first wave of projects alone. Critics, however, argue it is a sellout of sovereignty, handing Britain's future industries to American giants. Former ministers and opposition figures warn that while the investments may appear vast, the control will lie with Silicon Valley and Wall Street, not with Westminster. The divide reflects a deeper tension. Can Britain reindustrialise on its own terms, or has Brexit forced it into an over-reliance on the United States? In Washington, too, questions swirl. Some lawmakers see the deal as a distraction from America's need to invest more heavily at home. Others see it as a necessary reinforcement of Western values at a time when technological leadership is being contested by authoritarian powers. The bipartisan consensus, however, is that the special relationship remains a cornerstone of US foreign policy, and if that relationship can be made tangible in code, chips, and quantum labs, then all the better. As the panel draws to a close, the symbolism is unmistakable. Officials exit the stage to polite applause, but their words hang heavy in the air. Britain and America are redefining the special relationship not through royal processions or military interventions, but through algorithms, patents, and high-speed fibre optic cables. In a sense, this is the Cold War recast for a digital age, a contest for dominance, fought not only with missiles and armies, but with processors, data, and innovation. The challenge, however, will be lived out far from London or Washington. It will be tested in whether a disused factory in northern England can be revived as a data hub. It will be judged by whether families in Ohio or Birmingham can see tangible benefits in wages and opportunities. It will be measured by whether the United States and Britain can turn their promises of inclusion into realities. And it will be scrutinised by rivals who will not hesitate to exploit any weakness. For now, though, the headlines are triumphant. Britain has secured its largest state visit investment deal in history. America has reinforced its closest partnership in a time of uncertainty. And together they have declared their intent to win the race for the future. The applause.
Thank you very much, Mary. And I'd like to, everyone wants to know is, how do we get involved? How do we engage with it from the UK and the US research base in particular? But also, I think
it was very clear early in the administration that the three priority areas that we were prioritizing in the US were AI, quantum, and nuclear. And coincidentally,
and the thing that has struck me most is how much positive
handed from one bit of the state to another. The state should be there providing a framework which is almost invisible but definitely supportive. And that
I deeply believe that these technologies are going to be driving the economic and national security of the United States for many years to come. And it's something that we are beyond thrilled to be working with our closest partners and allies. This is a true manifestation of the special relationship that we have.
To explore all of the potential that our two countries coming together could have, and then narrowing down to a set of negotiations that delivers a deal that opens the door to $250 billion worth of commercial activity between our two nations, all focused in areas of technology, in areas of AI, in areas of future, fast, high growth economic opportunity for both of our nations. All the discussions is we are two administrations that care very, very much about those communities that have been left behind by past waves of industrial change, and for too long simply haven't had not just investment, but the kind of investment that is empowering and gives long-term, sustainable security, economic security to communities that have had none for a long time. So you will.
And I think the greatest challenge and greatest prize is to show how all of this innovation, how all of this investment, these jobs, these new discoveries are going to work for the people and places that most need them. I think one of the reasons that this partnership is so important is we are in a race for the future, and we want it for all of our differences between our two nations. Those underlying values are really important, and collaborating in those areas to make sure we win the race, we secure those